Hey, welcome back. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're coming to you with a very special Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Money Monday. And on Money Monday, we talk about money, but the markets are closed today. But we also bring on the money guests. And on this Money Monday, we bring in again David Pietrusza. He is a noted historian and author. David, the last time you were here was around Christmas, and you talked to us about this great story about the Christmas truce.
That's right.
Where the soldiers put down their guns and met in the battlefield and actually celebrated together. Put back a beer or two
They
even.
did. And a keg.
Today, you're here to give us a little background about this past Friday was the 100th anniversary of Prohibition.
Right.
And thank God that's over with. We would have no Liquid Lunch. But what was behind that? What are some of the historical things people don't know about Prohibition?
Well, that actually you could drink during Prohibition. It's not true that you couldn't drink. You just couldn't transport or manufacture or sell booze. And it started 3 days ago.
Characters rotting their bodies and jeopardizing their immortal souls.
Hoard the booze.
If you had money and if you had a big basement, you were golden. Franklin D. Roosevelt stocked up. I mean, Eleanor wasn't too crazy about it, but he was, and a lot of other people were. There was one private club that fortuitously stocked up for 13 years, and that's when Prohibition ended.
So let me ask you this: but you weren't prohibited from drinking,
right?
And while you had that 1 year of grace, you were allowed to hoard liquor. That was legal too.
That was legal.
So if you had a stock in your house, you were fine. Right?
You were fine, and there were other ways to legally get liquor. You could legally make it. You could make up to 200 gallons of wine in your own home.
Wow.
But if you took it out and sold it or just took it out, period, they could put the arm on you. Also, you could go to a doctor. You go to a doctor, get a prescription. The doctor would get a $3 fee, and they could write 100 prescriptions every 3 months. You'd take it to a pharmacist, and you'd say, doctor, it hurts here. And I think if I did this, it would hurt less.
Primarily associated with the growing.
There were some abuses of that, believe it or not. But that's, W.C. Fields saying, oh, yes, for medicinal purposes only.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Yes.
Right. But what was behind it? What was the actual reason that they wanted to prohibit the manufacture and sale of booze?
In the early part of the 19th century, America was known as the alcoholic republic. And the drinking was unbelievably heavy. People would drink constantly. If you were taking the bar exam, if they had bar exams, they would pour out.
Pun intended.
They would, yes,
the bar exam.
they would get any meeting. If you would go to work, you could be paid in alcohol. So people were sloshed constantly. And at the time of the Prohibition movement, you would have the first temperance movement, then a second wave.
2 years later,
1900. It really gets up and running because, the saloons. Saloons, by the way, were really different than the saloon of today. The saloon of those days was like a Starbucks. They were run by the breweries. So the breweries owned these things and were pushing the booze on people, and they were also a source of local politics. So a lot of the corruption came out of the saloons, and the temperance movement, the Prohibition movement, was tied into women's suffrage. So the women saw the men getting paid, cashing their checks in the bar, leaving a bunch of money there, getting liquored up, coming home, being abusive, and then also in the back room, there might have been other services rendered.
The oldest profession around.
So
was
the
also
men,
going on
the
in
men
the saloon.
the men might come back with a disease. So for all those reasons, there was a push, and also a lot of people say it's the older Americans, the Protestant Americans, the rural Americans who want to stick it to the people in the city.
David, it's very interesting that this was done through a constitutional amendment. There have been relatively few constitutional amendments after the initial 10 throughout our couple of hundred years of history as a republic. How are they able to build such popular support and get this done so quickly through the constitutional amendment process, which is notoriously difficult?
They did it by a group called the Anti-Saloon League, and what they figured out was single-issue politics. They are the first group which really does this, and every group which has been doing it since is really based on this. And so if you're for booze, they're for you. If you're against it, you know, they're not going to be for you, and they don't care what your personal habits are. You could be falling down drunk, but if you voted dry, they were for you. They exerted the pressure. They got it through Congress. And the great thing about prohibition and repeal is they don't do it by executive order. They do it constitutionally, and they get rid of it constitutionally. There was a 7-year provision that they had to do it in 7 years. They get it done fairly quick in 21 states. There are no negative votes against prohibition.
Wow.
And then when it's repealed in 1933, it's repealed between February or March and December of that year.
Well, in the last minute that we have, what was behind the repeal? Why did folks want to repeal prohibition?
Well, a number of people wanted to drink. They wanted to drink.
Most people
legally.
wanted to drink.
And but also the Depression had come on, and they thought they could get tax revenue from it. People would have jobs, and a lot of wealthy people who wanted their income taxes to go down. The DuPonts, the people who were on the board of directors of General Motors, same thing. They wanted those tax rates to go down. These are the same people who are going to oppose Franklin Roosevelt in the Liberty League when he has his New Deal.
Wow.
So there's a lot of, and also it's tied into the income tax amendment coming in. You know, once upon a time, we had this quaint idea you had to pay for government. So how did you pay for it? A tariff or excise taxes? When you cut out legal alcohol, it led to a hole in your budget, which the income tax helped replace. But then you wanted more revenue during the Depression when no revenue was coming in.
So the rich people wanted their taxes to go down.
Yes.
They wanted the government to be able to collect more taxes on liquor.
Right.
And they wanted to get boozed up in the saloon
Right,
at
and
the same
and
time.
the government took a hit on taxes during the 20s, and that went up. Ultimately, by 1936-37, state and local and federal governments are collecting $1 billion a year.
Wow, fantastic. You'd be surprised to know this, but I'm half Irish.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know why the Irishman couldn't become a lawyer?
Why is that?
Because he couldn't pass the bar.
Okay.
Oh.
Rim shot.
Yeah, not my joke.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
Okay,
it fit in right there, you know. David Pietrusza,
Well
he's
done.
always here for us. He's a presidential historian. He's an author. Always gives us the best, the background, all the good stuff you need to know. Talking about Prohibition, which is long gone. We celebrated 100 years of drinking on Friday. Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
coming down. Appreciate you being right there, and stay right there, because Erin Elmore's over there. She said she's getting cute. She's more than cute. She's smart and she's great. She's going to be here for some liquid lunch right after this.